thank you, Sissy, for being here. It means the world to me. So thank you, guys.
Thank you very much, Ginger. And now for our next speaker, please give a warm welcome for Tom. I'll hold this up, okay?
All right, I'm Tom. I'm an addict. Thanks, Ginger. I met a new friend here, sitting next to you. Before I forget, I got some tickets for Friday night, 4 o'clock, something else. If you need that, talk to me after the meeting. So I'm an addict all the way through. Crazy addict. I spoke here 14 years ago. And I had 20 years. And the topic was integrity. It was a good one. So my expectations are I'm going to do that again. It was good. And you know, the time thing, I remember early on I saw this old guy. His name was Tom. He had 26 years. I was fairly new, and he said, my name's Tom, I'm an addict, and my clean time is important to me, but it doesn't make me important. So let me tell you, I'm a golfer. So every time I tee it up, I expect to shoot around par. It rarely happens, especially now. But I always expect to. But, you know, I'm never disappointed because golf is a passion for me. I worked at a country club for 38 and a half years, shining shoes, best job in the world. Watch TV, I never worked. But I did get on the phone a lot. A lot of them addicts were calling me. So 14 years ago, I talked about integrity, you know, not sleeping with a newcomer even though they want you to. And I started with that, and I said, well, there's a girl back home. She's got like 9 months. I said, oh, never mind. Well, guess what happened? When she had 16 months, I think it was, she kissed me and told me she loved me, and I'd been sick. I'd had tuberculosis at that time. Right, I was just finishing up the treatment for that when I spoke. And it was they didn't get it right away. It was a weird sort of rare form of it. And so I was sick, and the treatment was long. And they'd come to my house, and I'd take the pills, 28 at a time. And it was difficult. And so I was depressed, you know, definitely clinically depressed. But when she kissed me, I became obsessed. And I had 20 years, but it didn't matter. I wanted her. I expected her. But she was crazy. So it's really a weird thing to do. She's really crazy. But I was like, you know, I'll help her. So I help a lot of women, and this was a big mistake, but I got to tell you, what came from it, the being able to let it go and go beyond, is what my story's been since in the last 14 years, because I went crazy. You know, a lot of people in here remember that. And that's all I talked about. It's all I thought about. I'd go walking, and I'd think I'd want to step out in front of a car. I never expected to be that kind of depressed, you know, because it was bad, and I couldn't let it go. I couldn't let it go and go beyond it. It had me, you know. And I mean, Dan and I went down to the World Convention in San Antonio. We both got to speak there. And I talked about this girl, you know. It was insane. And I was stark raving crazy, right? 21 years clean, nut job. I mean, I'd go to Starbucks, and they'd go, "How you doing?" I'd go, "Oh man, this girl, you know, she, man, fucking girl," and they'd go, "You're gonna be okay." And I was a nut, and I knew it, and I couldn't stop. I couldn't let it go. So what I had to do was I had to do something. My ex-wife and my ex-girlfriend said, "Man, you're crazy. You need to go talk to somebody." I said, "I ain't taking nothing." They said, "We didn't say you had to, but you're nuts. You need to talk to somebody." So I got this therapist, and it turned out he was a Buddhist. It was really weird. And after about 6 or 7 times, he said, "You're not crazy. You know, you're going to be okay." And I started walking every day. I did a long 4-step. Oh yeah. And I read inspirational books. I didn't even watch football. That's really weird. And I just read. And I couldn't get enough of it. And I ran into some energy workers. And they worked with energy. And you see, if I hadn't have been crazy, I wouldn't have been open to that. Crystals and stuff. People are weird that have that. But you ought to see my house now. Full of crystals. And so my expectations changed, and then my cancer came back, and and I was crazy. But the cancer kind of helped take it off of my mind. And I'm like, "What? You want me to do what again?" And so I did radiation, and all along the way, I had people helping me. Dan would come over and feed me, and Mark would bring me stuff, and they weren't sure about me, because I was losing it. And then I got really sick. I don't know. I had bowel surgery. That was weird. That changed my world. And and then the surgery on the cancer. Whoa, and now I got what? And they couldn't figure it out. And so I'm sick. I'm really sick. It was the worst. I had chills and fevers and sweats and a headache. I'd just shake, and then I couldn't, and it was just the fatigue and the eye and everything was going on, and they couldn't figure it out. Couldn't figure it out. I expected these doctors to help me and figure it out, but they weren't getting it, and they nodded on. And I don't think I was proactive enough for my own self to go and just stay in the hospital. And I'd go to the hospital and they'd release me. And finally, it got so bad, I fainted in a Al-Anon meeting. It's the worst place in the world to faint. You got a doctor here. Somebody's calling the paramedics, and But I ended up finding out what it was, and it was giant cell arteritis. So it was all keyed with my eye, and I could lose sight in my eye, and I had to take prednisone for 10 months, and now I'm doing these infusions. Now, why did I talk about that? There was probably a reason. Oh, yeah. Yeah, when I was sick, it got so bad. It got so bad that I gave up. I couldn't live like that. It was horrible. And I expected that I was just going to die. I had 104-degree fever sitting in my chair. It was horrible. And I couldn't go on like that. There was a part of me that was sort of letting go, but I expected that they're never going to find out what's wrong with me this time. And I wanted to die. And I thought, I've done enough. I've helped enough people. Every year I come up and see Brian. That's the only place I know him from is this convention. And I'm wearing this thing that he gave me. So, but when I would meditate, I would pull away from my body. And I'm like, whoa, I've seen this before. A couple of car wrecks and stuff where I'm watching me. And I thought, oh, thank God, it's going to be over, I expected to die. This is weird. I really did. I didn't tell anybody. I told a few people, but I really didn't want to, go on like that. It was okay. I was ready, man. And they figured it out, and here I am, talking again. Oh my God. How did it happen? Well, it just wasn't meant to be. That's what I think. I was telling my new friend, I think I've used 8 of my 9 lives, and she was like, well, you can borrow a couple of mine. I'm like, okay. That doesn't sound weird to me at all. Nothing's weird to me at all because I've done some weird stuff, so quite a bit. And so when I was new, I had a sponsor, and he was cool, and he taught me how to love men and women. He taught me for 7, 8 years. I had 8 years, and he had 9. Every year he'd give me his number. I'm like, oh, I'm a special guy. But it was just because I was a year and 2 days behind him. And we started the jail. I was on the H&I committee, and we started the jail. We hadn't had any contact in the jail at that time. And I've been going to the jail for 33 years, my home jail. And this year, we got suspended, Will and I, for a year. It's like, what? There was a fight in there. We didn't report it. You know. Number 1 rule, you know. And we got suspended. But so I wanted to be an H&I guy. I wanted to be like my sponsor. And him and I went into the first jail meeting that we ever had contact in. And it was good. It was great. We walked out of there, our feet weren't touching the ground, and I don't know, a couple of months later, he's like, don't be telling them don't be lying about how many times you've been to jail. I'm like, I'm not. But apparently he was. I didn't know. And he went out at 9 years. And for 5 days, he came back for a couple of years, but he didn't. I expected my sponsor to be there for me. And he went. And he used to say, we learn from those who go, and we learn from those who stay. And he went, man. And he used to tell me, get a dark suit. And I'm like, well, okay. And because we'd worn a suit to one of his birthdays, I wore that dark suit to his funeral service. But now here I am, finding out from the news called me and said, well, we don't find anything that he was in the military, and he never was in prison. And so what it was he had lived a lie. He told some lies in treatment, you know, and the truth was too painful. It was about him being a male prostitute, and he didn't want to talk about that. He didn't tell one person the whole thing. You know, now sponsors are sick. You know that. But for some reason, they're able to help you. It's the weirdest thing. It's just, you know. I've had some guys that have been with me, Dan, 27 years. Eric's got 20. He's been with me 15. And Mark, 20 years. And, man, these are my guys. So if my sponsor could have done that, if he could have told one guy everything, you know. But he came to see me 2 days before he was shot and killed. And he was saying goodbye to me. And so my expectations were, I've got to stay clean now, mainly for him and myself. And so I think he'd be really proud of me today and what I do and how many people I help. That guy said, my name's Tom, my time's important to me, it doesn't make me important. He says, what makes me important is what I do. And what I do makes me important, you know, to other guys, to me, to people I just meet, to all the addicts, you know. I'm a giver and I'm a lover. And love is what I find when I let it go and move beyond it. I've got to be able to let it go. Shit happens all the time, and it's not always what I expected, you know, like getting sick, all that stuff. Oh my God. And I I don't have to pee, though. That's good. So I usually have to pee a lot. The prostate thing. And so, I don't know where I was, but, room 1. I know it was something spiritual. I wish I could remember it. Oh, love, giver. Oh my God. You know that when you give, you receive? It's a universal truth. It doesn't, and so I'm always giving, I'm always receiving. That's not why I do it. But I do it because of some reason. Dan always tells me, you're like Jimmy Kay, you know. He had tuberculosis too. And he said, he says that the newcomer has a harder time getting away from Tom than he does getting off heroin. I like that. That's a good thing, man. Because it's true. Because I'll talk, and this is what I used to do. I used to get the new guy and just throw everything at him. Kitchen sink, yada, yada. And since I've changed, and I'm letting go, and I'm getting out of the way, and my intuitive abilities are there, we've all got them, I've just tuned into them more, and I listen better, and I listen to that new guy. And I listen, and some thought comes to me through my intuition, and I can hone in on what he needs to hear. That's an expectation for me now. I'm good at that. And, you know, who knows what's going to happen to him, but instead of just, I'm able to really focus on what's the right thing to say when it's my turn to talk. I've become a better listener. And that's improved my expectations of me and other people. Now, if I can't let it go in the moment, it sticks in me, and I can't quit thinking about it. So I'm doing that. And so as I'm thinking about something that I have no business thinking, it could be anything. I did a speaker meeting, and it was great. Then I went to Larry's birthday and dropped a bomb, you know. Shame share, whatever that is. Share shame. And I had to let go on the way home from the good speaker meeting, just as I had to let go on the way home from Larry's birthday, because I will think about it, I won't sleep, and it's insignificant and insane, but it gets stuck in me. And I play all these, what I could have done, but what I said, and now what did it, and nobody cared. Nobody cares. They're all thinking about themselves anyway. What the hell, you know? So, you know, my coming up here and having expectations, I never even thought much about it, but, you know, I think that I've changed. I think that I don't expect much anymore, except when I'm golfing. And I don't put expectations on you. I can feel and see the love that happens between people. And it's not the, it's beyond, it's authentic love, divine love, that has no opposite to it. And nowadays, NA's changed so much. When I first came, you know, back in the old days when we walked barefoot to the meeting, you know, there's young people. There's so many young people in here, and they get it, and the literature's so good, and they're, I'm just excited about it, you know, and I'm a part of it, and I hear them and growing and changing, and, you know, this convention is so cool, and we got so many conventions and stuff. When I was new, we'd have an announcement of a birthday, you know. Now, you know, the announcements go for 15 minutes, some meetings, you know, so I love what's happened here, and, you know, I'm glad I'm up here to tell you that one day, you know, the obsession was gone. And I learned so much from that. I think that now, today, I don't need pain to get the gain. It's been a struggle, a lot of illness, a lot of shit, a lot of insanity. But I think I've closed that gap a little bit to where I can see the love, I can feel the beauty in people and in myself. And if talking about the universe and the universal laws or something, it's like people are going to do what they're going to do. If I can't change that, I can only help me and my perspective and my expectations. If I, can be this person that's got good energy, right? It sort of surrounds me. With Ginger, it worked, I was able to help her, which helped me. Helping and giving is returned to me every time. And I love to do that. I love to help people. I am in the parking lot at most meetings talking to some guy who probably wants to leave. A lot of times, I'm the last guy there. And that's good. So I go to a lot of meetings. Sometime, I heard a guy say, well, I've never been to a bad meeting. I thought, Jesus, come with me. I know a few of them, some really bad ones. And he says, no, it's never a bad meeting when I find the new guy. And then it's a good meeting. So I've gone by that. I kind of live by that because there's some weird meeting. But this is their truth. People are on their path. I'm on my path. If your path is like you're going to die, I can't change that. I'm alive. I don't, maybe it's just so I could talk here. Who knows? Now, I got a thought there, but I think I missed it. But, what was I saying? And, that was some weird stuff, wasn't it? I think that...
Squirrel.
Squirrel? Well, it's like my path is my path. I was a guy who laid in the gutter, shooting dope, looking down on people. Look at these idiots going to work. I really believe that. And in one lifetime, I've come to a place of loving people, giving, caring. That's pretty good for one lifetime. That might get me a better one the next life, because I've looked at it. I've been close, but it didn't happen yet. But a lot of people I've loved have died. People that lived with me, people that I just absolutely adored, and they went out and they died. And it happens all the time. It doesn't matter how much time you got, you could use. It's only this far away, boom. Dan says I'm one bad decision and 43 miles from Oregon State Penitentiary. And that's pretty true. 5 minutes. So, letting go. Let go. Don't hang on to stuff. It's insane. What is it? And moving on. Moving on. No. Living. What is it? Living beyond. Living beyond. That's it. That's what I'm doing. I mean, it's real. I'm living beyond, It's like when you can let go and really be okay no matter what's happening, that's living beyond the pain of what's happening, the misery, the fear. It's all about thinking. I need to let go of the thing. Who am I? I am a thinker. I got it down to 2 voices now. And I'm also higher self. Lower self, higher self. And the higher self, when I'm in that, it comes to me subtly, quickly. Like, I don't get a voice or anything, but I get a feeling or something. And that's my intuitive ability. When I'm in my lower self, it's always past or future. Never now. It's think. What about, do you know, she looked at you and it was, and then that one girl, she kissed, you know, it's like, what the fuck was that? And so, it'll keep me awake at night. It never is truthful. It's always loud, rah, and it never lets up, and it won't ever stop. I read a lot of these books that say all the same stuff. It's about love of self. If you can love yourself enough not to believe what you think. I am not what I think. I'm higher, I'm beyond that. I'm the higher self. That's who I really am. This life is just a blink of an eye, really. And so I expect, you know, that when I go, it's going to be better, man. It's going to be beautiful because I've seen it. I flew off a cliff, dove on the floor one time, and boom, I'm out here. Well, we knew he'd screw up. But it was me watching me. What? And so, you know, don't listen to what your thinker's saying. Realize when you hear that quiet, soft voice, that's who you really are. That's who is clean. That's who can help somebody. That's what it's all about, man, is letting go, moving beyond that crazy thinker that's always talking. It won't stop. But just be the observer of it. Just listen to it. And you go, yeah, thanks for sharing. You're full of shit. And move beyond that. Let it go. Get outside of yourself, of that self, and become who you are, this great, wonderful person that is here to love and help people, man. It's the most beautiful thing there is. How could it be any worse? I love you guys. I do have some weird tickets, so come see me if you want them. Thank you.
From Oregon.
I'm Tom. I'm an addict. Wow. Lots of time, huh? Big mouth. Since we're all here, and we're all the same, I want to do a little something. I just want to bring the love into the room. So let's close our eyes. Take a few deep breaths in through your nose and out through your mouth. Silently repeat, we are the love, release the fear. We are the love, release the fear. We are the love, release the fear. As you feel the energy coming down through the top of your head and into all the cells in your body, all the cells can join in with the mantra. We are the love. Release the fear. We are the love. Release the fear. As you feel it coming into your head, tell one brain cell to tell all the other brain cells. We are the love. We are the love. We are the love. When you feel it come down into your heart, tell one heart cell to tell all the other heart cells. We are the love. We are the love. We are the love. As you feel the energy coming through the rest of your body into your organs, tell your liver cell, tell one of them cells to tell all the other cells. We are the love. We are the love. We are the love. So sit with that just for a minute. We are the love. Your entire body feels the love. All the cells invigorating and vibrating with the energy of love. I can't believe I'm doing that. We are the love. We are the love. We are the love. So now take a few deep breaths. And open your eyes whenever you're ready. Thank you for that. Thank you. I think I'm done now. Should have done that for a half an hour. Well, I looked up vulnerability today. Can't remember what it said. There was something about fear of being hurt physically or emotionally. I qualify. That's the way it was growing up in my house. I didn't know I was vulnerable. I didn't know it, but I lived by all those rules, unspoken, unwritten rules. And, I turned out to be, wasn't going to be like them, so I became an addict. I went to the pool hall one day and I started drinking. Within 2 weeks I was smoking dope. Within a couple more days I was taking speed and having sex, all kinds of shit. And I was thinking, why did I wait so long? Why didn't everybody do this? So it was escape from vulnerability. It made me feel good and strong and not afraid. But it got bad quick for me. Within 3 years, I was in Rocky Butte jail, accused of 22 felonies, and 20 of them I was guilty of. So I had to become vulnerable again. And the war was going on, and I didn't want to go to the war, so I didn't want to get my hair cut. It was so pretty that I chose jail instead. And lo and behold, God was still working in my life. Pulled off a little bit of a miracle, and not guilty here, and a plead guilty there, and a judge whose vein in his neck was popping. And somehow, because of his resentment, I got probation. It's a long story, but I want to get to the love. I really don't know what I was going to talk about here, and here I am talking. So, Nancy and I didn't mind the consequences of my addiction. Going to jail was part of the deal. I went to jail a lot. All the stuff that went along with that, I was fine with. That's just the deal. It's part of the deal. I wasn't hurting anyone, I thought. I know my family loved me, but I didn't think about them. I didn't think about my sisters who grew up in the same house as me. I only thought about me. I didn't think about how it affected them. So anyway, I lived with my parents till I was like 24, 25. Nancy will clear that up. Because she took me in, and I lived with her for 24 or 25 years. 25. And so I didn't grow up. They took care of things. She took care of things. I never wrote a check that was real or legal. I'd never written a check. I'd never called an insurance company. I'd never done any of that stuff. I didn't take care of any of that. Someone took care of that for me. I was hard to take care of. But, the reason we got together is she needed somebody to control, and I needed to be controlled. It was a perfect match. And so we started our journey. But what happened to me was I started to have guilt, because I could see in her eyes kind of what I saw in my mom's eyes. I was hurting her. And I had guilt and shame. And I had a little trouble one day, a couple drunk drivings, 2 hit and runs, an attempt to elude in a week. It was a normal week, it's just that I got caught. And I went to my first meeting. It was an AA meeting, it was 1977. And it was a good meeting. But I remember thinking, I'm glad they have somewhere to go, as I'm not like any of them. 2 drunk driving in a week. But anyway, we came to recovery together. Nancy and I were struggling in the what happened part of our deal. Well, it was like, what happened? And so what we did was, we'd go to meetings and do the dance, and I'd go, she wouldn't go, Anyway, one night we were going to a meeting, and she smoked a joint on the way to the meeting, and I didn't, because I couldn't do that. I had to wait till after the meeting. There's something about that. And that was my routine. I'd wait till after, and then I'd smoke the joint, and, talk about the meeting. And this night the guy challenged me. He said, why don't you, we know about you and what you're doing. We know you're honest. You've been coming around for years. You just can't seem to let it go. Why don't you give it up for 60 days? And I thought, 60 sounds better than 90. And I said, yeah. And I knew he was a professional wrestler, George. And I knew I'd have to honor what I said. And so I'm like, oh my God. And then he asked Nancy, and she said, I'm an addict too, And she'd never really admitted that, I don't think. And I was always worse. But man, later on I found out how sick she is, but I won't go into that. So here we are on our journey clean. That was over 33 and a half years ago. So that was a good 60-day deal, commitment. But I was a dick. And it was always me. We'd go somewhere. Oh, Tom, how you doing? Like Nancy's standing there, but no one even talked to her. But I learned love from Nancy. I wouldn't even be here if it wasn't for Nancy. She taught me how to love, how to give. We got clean. We took these girls into our home. Little criminal addicts with an attitude. And high-heeled boots. And Nancy loved them, and I watched her love them, and I watched her give them unconditional love, and I couldn't believe it. One time, I think one of them ran away. Took a 15-year-old girl with her and taught her how to turn a trick for candy, and cigarettes. And they got caught, and they came back into our home, and I wanted to punish her. She expected some punishment. Nancy took her out and bought her a dress. I'm like, what? She said, it's her time. It's her clothing allotment. She gets a dress. It screwed that girl up. What? You aren't going to beat me? So I learned about how to love then. I learned to be vulnerable with these girls. I loved every one of these girls. They were me. They were me. Some of those girls are still in our life today. Still in our life today. Our very first girl was clean like over 30 years. That doesn't happen. We just figured they, came because they didn't want to go to jail, Okay, we're gonna get going now. Vulnerability to learn about love. So Nancy and I separated. Well, I got vulnerable with a man, my sponsor, Perry. He was tough and mean. And I went up to him, I said, keep coming back. He said, I ain't got nowhere else to go. Wow. So the next week, I went up to him, said, keep coming back. He said, I told you, I got nowhere else to go. So I asked him to be my sponsor. He told me to get a dark suit. What? So I wore that dark suit to his funeral. Perry taught me how to love. Perry taught me how to love men. Perry taught me a lot of the stuff that I know today. And so I was vulnerable to him to allow love. Even though he was an addict, he went out and was shot and killed. He lives in me. He lives with me. I'm still going to the jail. Him and I used to go to the jail over 30 years ago, and I'm still going to that same jail. It was my home jail. So I still go there. And And man, it's changed. Used to be we'd ask, anybody been to an NA meeting? And every 3 or 4 meetings, yeah, I went to one once. And now we go in there and we say, is anybody, there's my jail partner, Will. Anybody not been to an NA meeting? And every now and then we get a guy or two that hasn't been to an NA meeting. So what we share in there is different than what we used to share in there. We share more love now, get more real now. At least I do. I mean, Will and I are a great team in there. We get guys coming up to us all the time. Man, I remember you. You know, I got 6, 7 years clean now. It was you and Will. I'm like, whoa. We get guys. Will tells them where his home group is, and we can't give him our number, but he tells them that, and they come there, and he helps them. And it's a powerful thing. I love the jail. I feel more comfortable in jail than I do right here, right now. Maybe it's because they're all wearing the same socks. I don't know. But that's where I do my service, is in the jail. That's why I'm clean today, so I can go back into that jail where I used to go. And I pound on the desk and the door opens, man. It's a complete 180 for me. So, you know, it was Perry and Nancy and I separated about 18 years ago. And a lot of people didn't understand that. We loved each other. We knew what was going on. But we just couldn't live together. Let's just put it that way. It was difficult. We probably could have, but it wasn't the right thing to do. So, and of course, well, I never would have met all them girls after that if I hadn't have, you know, but whatever. And I was vulnerable then. I felt like I had no home. I had nowhere to go. I had my family, and they were clean now, and things were better, but my dad would still get mad and throw me out of the house, you know. And so I felt this vulnerability of nowhere to go. What am I going to do? I cried every day. And who called me every day? Dan. Every day. How you doing, man? And so, and Nancy would call me and we'd cry. We've done this together. It's been the best separation and eventual divorce the second time than I've ever heard of, because it's about love. Every appointment I had, she was there for me, every time. And I've had a few appointments. Let's get into that then. I got sick, got cancer, prostate cancer. How you doing? They said, well, we need to do surgery. I'm like, what? What are you going to do to me? You're going to do what? So I talked to 7 doctors. They all said, do the surgery. I'm thinking, I don't want to, but yeah, I did it. Changed my world. Vulnerable again. Oh my God, what are you going to do now? And there was a ex-sponsee of mine sent out a big canvas all around town signing, we love you, we hope it goes good, you're going to be all right, still be a man. And they showed me love. And people came to my house and helped me through that. My parents came, my girlfriend, I had a girlfriend, Jeanette walked me through all of that stuff. It was great for me. Thank God I had her, just because, well, never mind. She was great for me. And so what I realized was I have to give this love back. I have to give this love back, this love that was, wake up, Eddie, to give this love back to I know it's a little boring, but I'll get to the good stuff. And so I did. I decided to give this love everywhere I went. I was giving. More love than I'd ever given. I used to, but now I'm really giving it. And so next thing came along was I got really sick. Couldn't do anything. Terrible. Horrible. Couldn't figure it out. 4 months. Oh, it was terrible. Finally, what they said was they thought it was lymphoma. And that it was very advanced in me. And of course, Nancy was there when The first time, then I got a second opinion. He said, yeah, I agree. It's not good. In fact, it's really advanced. But with chemo, we probably live, we know people have lived 5-10 years. I'm like, 5 to 10 years? So I had a prayer. And I for about 10 days, I thought I had lymphoma. And I had this prayer. I said, God, I don't mind being with you. I know life's eternal. I know I'm going to be okay. I live on and on. However, there was a but in my prayer. I said, but I just wanted more time to learn more about this love I've been giving and receiving, giving and receiving, giving and receiving. And I just wanted to have more time to learn about that. And so about 10 days later, they took a biopsy out of my neck, and they found out it wasn't cancer. And they were all happy, but I'm like, yeah, but what is it? Turns out it was tuberculosis. Who gets that? Well, Jimmy Kay had that. And Dan likes to say, I'm a lot like Jimmy Kay, in that the newcomer has an easier time getting off heroin than they do getting away from me. And I had TB, so that's kind of an honor, be like Jimmy Kay. So this was vulnerability again. Tuberculosis? I had to, every day they'd come to my house and watch me take the pills. I had to wait for them, the nurse. Sometimes they'd be an hour late, And so they'd watch me take the pills, and eventually the TB was eradicated, and I got to speak up in Ocean Shores on integrity, and that might have been one of the best talks I've ever given. I was still sick, but I'm learning about love, right? I'm learning about love, and I mentioned a girl, she had like 9 months, and so I went back, and this girl, she was crazy, but she was pretty, and she told me she loved me and kissed me and all this and wanted to be with me. And I'm like, what? I knew that's what I wanted, but what? And now remember, I was still sick from the TB, and I lost my mind. I mean, I lost my mind completely. Everybody remembers that, right? Everybody. I mean, even the lady at Starbucks, she'd go, hi, how you doing? Oh, this girl, I just went on and on, And then she'd give me my coffee, and she goes, you're going to be okay. And I'm not just talking about one Starbucks. It happened everywhere. And I was crazy. I was stark raising nuts, and I couldn't do anything about it. And I was worrisome to myself and everyone that came in contact with me. And so Nancy, I talked to Nancy, I talked to Jeanette. They both said, you need help. You're crazy. I said, they said, you need to talk to somebody. I said, I ain't gonna take nothing. They said, well, we didn't say that. We said, you need to talk to somebody. Quit talking to us, So I went to therapy, and this was really good. I started walking every day. I started reading inspirational books. Lots of them, man. Power of Now was the first one Aaron gave me. And man, I didn't even watch TV. I read all the time. Couldn't wait to get home and read. I'd read at work, And I did a long four-step, difficult four-step adolescent and adult child, and that was good. Sexual inventory, and I ran into the energy workers. Now, had I not said that prayer, that I wanted more time to learn more about love and been vulnerable, I don't think that I would have been open to these energy workers and all their crystals and shit. I used to think anybody who had crystals was weird. I got some in my pocket right now, and my house is full of them, so I guess I'm weird. And I like the weirdness. I like being a little weird. But, I had been vulnerable, I'd been vulnerable. And then my cancer had come back. So I'd go to this meditation gathering where there was monks and Asians and people in recovery, and we'd meditate and we'd talk, and they'd do energy work on me, and they're like, well, Tom, we think you're the healer. I'm like, what? I just came because I'm crazy. What are you talking about? Oh, no, they said, we're just setting the table for you. You're going to touch more people than all of us combined. I thought, oh, man, that sounds like my sponsor. He's crazy. You know, because my sponsor's intuitive when it comes to me and my life. He's predicted events in my life all the time. He gets it before it happens. I won't tell you what he told me the other day. Go ahead. Yeah, some woman's coming into my life. Oh my God, she won't fit in the golf bag, but you know. Oh my God. And he's never wrong. You know, it's just kind of scary. But what was I talking about? Huh? Oh, the energy. Can I talk about that? Who was that? Oh, she wants to hear about that. It wasn't much.
You said sexual inventory.
Yeah, I did. Well, I'm done with that. That helped me.
Okay, thank you.
The girl, once I learned what love was not. I learned what obsession was. I called my sponsee every night. For some reason, he'd answer the phone. He's sitting right here. And I'd go on and on and on about that girl, on and on and on. And finally, I got done with that. It was obsession. It was depression becoming obsession. I was depressed. I know what depression is. It was dark. I had been ill. I'd been on these medications, you know, on the TV and everything else. And I'd call him every night. I think every fucking night. And I'd go on. And finally, I got done with that. It just went like that because it wasn't real. The only thing that is real is love. And everything is either a cry for love or it's love. And so I didn't know that yet. And so, where was I? Oh, the sponsee. So finally, I get done with that. It went away just as quick as it came. And I said to him, I said, man, aren't you glad I don't call you and talk about that girl? He said, fuck yes. We could have played the tape over, and we should have taped the first one and played it over and over because it's the same thing every night. But you know what? He let me do that. That's love. He loved me enough to let me rant and rave. I was supposed to be helping him. He was helping me. When I was sick, my other sponsees are like, what are we going to do if we lose Tom? You know, sponsor ourselves? You know, but they showed me love. Dan came and cleaned my house, did my dishes. People brought me soup. People loved me, even beside the fact that I didn't want them to even see me. I was so sick. Oh, and then it happens again, but I'll get into that. So the love heals me. The love takes away my fear of being hurt. Wow. So, have I been up here that long? Okay. So, I got sick again. Man. And this was bad. This is worse than all that stuff. I did radiation when I had 25 years. That didn't help. But it did kill the cancer. We have that in common. But then I got really sick. I went to Mexico with Dan, and I started getting the chills and the fevers and the sweats and the headache every day and the fevers, and my eye was bad, and I coughed all the time, and for a year I went to doctors every week, a couple of doctors every week, and they couldn't find out what was wrong with me. I fainted in an Al-Anon meeting one day, and that's the worst place to faint because they're all codependents all around me. All over me, man. It's horrible. And I ended up eventually in the hospital, and they kept me. They were going to release me like they always did, and then I started shaking. because I would shake like a spastic. Spastic? Is that the proper term? And I was just, and I'd get 104, 103 degree fevers every week for a year, man. Couldn't shake it. Go to the doctor, 6 doctors, couldn't figure it out. So they kept me in the hospital, and my eye was a key. I got poked in the eye, so I didn't think that was anything, because I couldn't see out of my eye very good. They said, man, you can lose sight in your eye. What? Your eye? The headache? And they figured out what I had. So now I'm on prednisone, steroids. Oh my God. But it's saving my life. I guess I don't need a lot of sleep. I'm old. And this stuff, and I'm gonna have to take it for a couple years. But here I am talking. I'm on my feet. I'm alive. I'm fairly healthy in my mind now because I got love. I had a meditation gathering at my house for 8 years every week. Took a couple weeks off for golf. And I learned about love and all the people that came. And then all the energy work I'm doing. And I'm like, oh my God. And then I forget that I can even do that. So it's not ego. It's God. It's intuitive voice that comes to me. The other day I was in a meeting and I saw a girl and I thought, oh, okay. And then later on, she's standing over here all by herself. And I thought, oh, fuck, here you go again. I go up to her and I told her, it's your eyes, the soul travels with the eyes. I just got a good feeling about you. I feel like there's stuff around your head, helpers, spirit guides, whatever it is. I said, I got a good feeling about you. So I was at Nancy's meeting this morning, and afterwards a gal came up to me, she goes, yeah, one of my clients came up to me and said, I met a guy in a meeting the other day. He told me it was the eyes, and she goes, well, I know who that is. She says, yeah, his name was Tom. Oh, okay. So how do I wrap this up? Love is the healer. Love is the only thing that is real. The rest of it's an illusion. Everything has an opposite to it. Night and day, up and down, light and dark. There is love and hate. The kind of